Hey there, it's Melissa Brunetti, and welcome to the Mind Your Own Karma podcast. Hey there, Karma crew, and welcome to another episode of Mind Your Own Karma Beyond the Bandage. What if I told you the key to healing might not be in your mind, but in your body's untapped pleasure and unspoken desires? If you think sex is just physical, think again. My guest today, Somatic Sexologist Ayce Kyptyn, joins us to reveal how tuning into your body can help you heal trauma, release shame, reclaim desire, and finally, feel more you than ever before. With over 15 years of experience and his certification in the Erotic Blueprints and Bondassage, Ayce meets clients right where they are. No shame, no judgment, and guides them into a deeper connection with their bodies, their identities, and their desires. We'll talk about what somatic sexology actually is, how religious conditioning can shape our relationship to pleasure, and how mapping the body can unlock healing and even a sense of aliveness many people have never known. If you've ever felt like there's more to your body's story or your sexuality, this conversation is your invitation to find out. Let's rip off the bandage and dive in. Hey, Karma Crew, we're welcoming Ayce Kyptyn to the show today. Hey, Ayce.
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, really, really good. I am so excited to have you on the show. You are a somatic sexologist, and obviously I geeked out as soon as I heard that and had to have you on the show. So I'm so happy that you're here. You know, when I was doing research for the show, I really didn't think about the role that our erotic
Mm,
authenticity, what that role plays in our true authentic
mhm.
selves. I didn't even think about that whole
Yeah,
layer of that. So super excited to dive
yeah.
in. Finding authenticity is always difficult for a lot of
hmm
people, for most people. And it's always a journey. So what was your journey like?
Yeah, so I guess I'll start out with the fact that I lived a really repressed lifestyle. And so the reason why I bring eroticism into somatic work is a lot of us don't really explore it. It's something that, we've learned to repress. We don't really know how to get our wants, needs, and desires met, and we don't know how to communicate with people. And so my journey started in 2021 when I watched Sex, Love, and Goop. It's on Netflix. It's a free show that you could binge watch, and actually my mentors on there, Jaya and Darshana. And basically what happened was I watched the TV show and I went, I need that in my life because I felt so dead. I was dying inside because I had the sexuality and this gender identity expression orientation that wanted to like flourish and come out of me, but it was just so repressed my entire life that when I saw the show, I went, there are people who are actually able to get what they want and express who they are, and it was like this light bulb moment of I repressed this for my entire life, and I haven't been really living a full out life, a life that was authentic to me and who I am. And so it gave me an opportunity just to see other people experience what does it look like to fully express yourself sexually. And I went, okay, there's something there for me. I want to dive into that. So I jumped into now it's a 4 year journey of just meeting with people who understand gender, identity, expression, orientation, and basically your sexuality, and really getting curious with what arises for myself, and then kind of following those things and kind of pulling at the threads of who I really am deep down that I really haven't expressed previous in my life because it wasn't okay to do so.
Yeah. So you said the journey's been 4 years long. Do you
Yeah.
find that you're still learning about yourself? You're still
Oh
uncovering
yeah.
things? Yeah.
Yeah. This is a never ending journey, I think, until I pass away. And then we'll see what comes from there.
Yeah. As we grow, we change, definitely.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what is a somatic sexologist?
Yeah, so I help people land into their bodies and experience an erotically liberated lifestyle. I think a lot of us go through this world numbed out and not really getting our wants, needs, and desires met. And so I help people realize how they're organically and naturally wired, and then how to express that in this world and in your romantic partnerships, all of that. It's a really juicy, fun time.
So if someone contacts you, do you do like a free consult? And then after, what
Yeah.
if they do go forward? What
Mhm.
does that look like? Because I know you do a lot of different things, it looks like. So how do you figure out what somebody needs?
Yeah. So usually people find me through social media. I have a pretty large social media presence and they kind of know who I am and what I do. And from that, I do like a 15 to 30-minute discovery call where I find out about their journey, where they're hoping to go, what's arising for them, what are maybe some of the pitfalls or the roadblocks they're having. And then if I can potentially resource them in moving past whatever that might be for them. So after that, then we do usually either 1 month, 3 month, or 6 month program where I help them understand what it is that they want, need, or desire, and then how to get those things. And I give them the resources that they need to do so.
Okay, so you help them with the things that they want to get. Now, I already shared
Hmm.
this with you, but I'm going to be totally transparent. I went on your website
Hmm.
and I
Yeah.
took your erotic blueprints test, and I'm like trying to
Yes.
answer the questions, would I rather prefer this, that, or neither? And I
Hmm.
didn't know. Like, I didn't know. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Is it neither? I don't know if I was just like uncomfortable, like thinking about some of the things
Hmm.
on there. So, what does that
Yeah.
mean if you don't know how to answer a lot of
Yeah,
those
so it's
questions on there?
incredibly common, actually.
Okay, good.
Even if you were to ask your lover, "Hey, what would you like tonight?" They might not know the answer. And partly it's because we live in a society where we don't really think about our own wants, needs, and desires. We just kind of go out and do life according to whatever we need to do in the moment, and that may be what's authentically arising for us in that space. And what happens is when we take the quiz, sometimes what happens is we get in our heads and we think about it a little bit too much and we can't really understand, okay, if I had the choice between this or this, maybe I'd want this, but maybe I'd want this, and we don't really fully like feel it in our bodies. And so what I do as a somatic sexologist is I help people land into their bodies and actually find out what their body is telling them. Because what I realized is a lot of the information that we have flowing through our bodies, 20% of it comes from our mind, but 80% of it actually comes from our bodies and what we're feeling. That's how we're
Hmm.
naturally wired. So getting people to understand what's arising in your body, what kind of sensations are welling up? Are you feeling a tingling, a pit in your stomach? What are these sensations that are rising? And then how do we want to move through this world with those sensations and acknowledging that they exist? It's really fun because what happens is people will come to my space and we'll do a body mapping experience, which I can explain what that is. But basically they lay on a table and I give them a bunch of different types of sensation and I help them land into their body and find out what's pleasurable for them. A lot of times we think in our heads, oh, I don't like spanking or oh, I don't like this. But when we actually experience it, our body actually really enjoys it and it brings up something in us that wants to be felt and acknowledged. And so I help my clients realize like we have all these thoughts in our head of like what we can and cannot do, what might be right or might be wrong or acceptable or unacceptable. And the reality is like we're wired naturally to enjoy this life and enjoy our bodies. So what does it look like to drop into our bodies and acknowledge what's arising and just be with that in the moment? It
Yeah.
really is a light bulb moment for my clients because I think a lot of times we think about what everybody else wants or what everybody else thinks is right or correct. And we don't really think about what's right for us right here, right now in this moment. And so I help those things arise and then I hold space for whatever that might be. There's zero judgment in my space with like, oh, I liked that, or oh, I didn't like that. Okay, cool. That's just more information that we know about our bodies and who we are naturally.
Yeah. I don't know if you run into this with clients, but I also feel like just being a woman, and especially I'm 57, so I think maybe not so much in the younger generation now, but in my generation and older, there's a lot of pressure on pleasing that other person and not
Hmm.
ourselves. So I don't know
Yeah.
if, maybe that's something too that was, kind of blocking me from exploring, like,
Hmm.
I don't know what I want or what I would enjoy.
Yeah.
It was
A
crazy.
lot
Like
of times,
acknowledging that, I was just
yeah.
like, wow, I didn't think that was surprising to me.
Yeah. Well, it's a societal norm that we have to please other people and to make sure that we don't make things awkward, to give them what they might need or want. and kind of deny ourselves. I mean, it's one of those patriarchal things in Christianity. I fully understand, right? One of the main
Yeah.
phrases was deny yourself and follow me. So when did we learn to abandon ourselves for the good of someone else and then end up basically dying inside because we're not living an authentic lifestyle for ourselves.
Right.
So that's one of the things that like is really important for my clients to really understand is somebody like in your shoes of like I have these wants, needs, and desires, and it's okay that I have them, and it's also okay for me to ask for them to be met.
Yeah. So you had a lot of layers personally that you had to peel off to kind of get to your authentic self. And I think a lot of times
Yeah.
we deny our authentic selves to get along in the world, to get along with the
Hmm.
people that we love and want to keep in our lives. And so we
Yes.
suppress a lot of
Yeah.
things. In your personal journey, what was the difference between trying to keep the peace and the feelings you were feeling being that person
Yeah.
to actually jumping into your authentic self and living out that life?
Hmm.
And what are you feeling now? Because I know there's a lot of people that are
Yeah.
scared to lose.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I lost it all. Like I lost my family, my community, my profession, my house, any financial stability I had. I lost everything. And the
Yeah.
reality for me was when the pain inside was greater than the pain from the external world,
Yes.
that's when I decided to make the change.
Yep.
And that's a lot of times when everybody else decides to make the change too, because it's like, well, I have nothing else to lose. If I continue down this lifestyle, I'm not living a vibrant life. I'm not enjoying this grand adventure that life could be. And for me, it was making the decision like, I'm not going to live the next 50 years of my life to please everybody else. I'm going to live the next 50 years of my life where I actually enjoy it and want to like thrive in this world because of who I am. And so it's finding that centeredness, that groundedness of who I am, and then letting that authentically arise. It comes with a cost, absolutely. But I think that the cost of losing yourself is much greater than
Yeah.
the cost of maybe losing, material possessions or some relationships that you might have.
Yeah. I think I always say the discomfort becomes greater than the fear. Um,
Hmm.
and I think you said that you felt like you were literally dying. I don't know if I heard that in a podcast
Yeah.
that you did or if you said it here, but and I felt the
Yep.
same way. I felt like I was literally
Hmm.
dying from the inside out because I was not
Hmm.
living an authentic life. I had no choice.
Yeah.
I had no choice.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no
So,
other option at some point.
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
what's the biggest myth about sex that you wish people would finally let go of?
The biggest myth? Oh boy.
There's a
I
list,
think
I'm
a lot
sure.
of people, yeah, I think a lot of people think that incompatibility is a thing. I think it's a myth. I think that we can be compatible with almost anybody if we choose to be, and we actually want to do the work to do so. Through the erotic blueprints, what I've learned is there's 5 different blueprints types. There's the energetic, sensual, sexual, kinky, and shapeshifter. All of us are wired differently. And so if I'm trying to meet my partner in such a way that I don't understand what his blueprint type is or their blueprint type is, there's going to be a disconnect and there's going to
Mm,
be an overwhelm and a frustration that arises just naturally from that. But in learning the erotic blueprints and the framework of that, I actually can realize, okay, my partner is wired in such a way that they need this in their sex life. I'm wired in such a way that I need this in my sex life. So how do I create some sort of language or communication with them so that we can kind of meet in the middle and kind of create like a flow in our relationship so we're not necessarily hitting heads and frustrated with each other all the time, but we're acknowledging this is what naturally arises in you. This is what naturally arises in me. How can we have a curiosity of what arises between the two of us and really start to explore those places and lean into our pleasure? I think a lot of us we get really shut down and we don't really speak up what we desire. But if we can actually follow our pleasure and get into that curious space, there can be something really fun that creates like a chemistry between the two of us. And from there, we can be okay. What's next for us? What do we want to do next? How do we want to, asking the questions and like critically thinking about how we could be compatible versus just saying, oh, we're incompatible. This is never going to work.
mm,
It takes a lot of just a lot of diving in and being really curious with each other and willing to go there.
Right. Do you ever do couples counseling? Because it sounds
I do.
like there's a lot of communication that's got to happen here that might be uncomfortable, and communication's hard
Yeah.
anyway. And then you bring the subject
Yeah.
in, like, so you do counsel couples.
I do. Yeah, most of my my clients are actually couples. And I might just work with one of them and the other person isn't quite ready to do so. And so I'll give them tools to bring back to their partner and say, hey, these are some exercises and I can resource them in the journey that they're going together. But most of the people I work with have a significant other that has some sort of a desire and they may or may not be ready to jump into it right now. And so sometimes I do end up working with them on their own, but they have a partner that they're trying to connect with.
Yeah. I think somatic is that word is becoming more mainstream, but I think a lot of people
It
still
is.
don't really understand it. So, what does it
Yeah.
truly mean to in the body to listen to your body in an
Mhm.
erotic way when it comes to pleasure? And
Mm.
how do we know when we're not listening?
Well, I'll start with the how do we know it when we're not listening? And that's when we disassociate from whatever's going on in the space or in our bodies. As a trans individual, I learned how to do this at a really young age. It's basically a protection mechanism to keep myself safe. If I can disassociate from whatever's happening outside of me or to my body and just like stay safe in that space. And so what I do is I hold a space for my clients to be able to allow those discomforts and those pains to arise. I think a lot of times we're afraid of going into the darker areas of our lifestyles, the things that are a little bit more gray, the things that are a little bit more painful or intense, because we're afraid of what might transpire. But when we allow all of us to exist in this space and we allow those things to bubble up, and actually hold space for it and not necessarily judge it, we don't even have to know why they're arising. We can just say, okay, this is what's arising right here in the moment. I don't know why it's happening, but we're going to let this flow through me. And then we can get to the next space. And so with my clients, a lot of the work I do is just helping them land into their body and realize, okay, wow, my heart is pumping really fast right now. And like, I'm like super anxious. I'm not taking a deep breath. And then do I want to continue in those sensations or do I want to change those sensations? And so I help my clients realize what sensations are going on in their body and then give them tools and resources to either dive into them and actually hold space for them to arise and let them move through your body, or to change those sensations and bring things in instead of pain, maybe we'll bring pleasure into it. And so it's learning how to transmute those pains and those feelings that we don't enjoy into something that could actually be a catalyst for us to move forward and fully express those emotions and feelings that are coming up.
And as being a somatic practitioner as well, I'm assuming that sometimes maybe something traumatic, a
Mhm.
memory or
Yeah,
some kind of body memory will come
yeah,
out for parts work or something like that.
yep.
So do
Mhm.
you encounter that, and how do
All
you
the
handle
time.
that? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I encounter it almost in every session that I have in person. So what usually happens is people fly in to see me. We do a 3-day immersion. The first day is just getting to know each other, and creating a safe environment for them to exist. And then the second day is where we do that deep dive, and that's usually where the trauma will start to bubble up of maybe sexual abuse or just some negative experiences that they've had and things like that. And I'm trauma informed, I'm trauma trained, and so I can hold space for when that happens, how to help move a client through it. But also, I have therapists that work alongside of me, and they do parts work with my clients as well. And so I give them the opportunity to either talk to their therapist about it if they're sex positive, because they may already have a great relationship with their therapist, or I bring them into one of my therapists that I have on call, where they can actually talk about some of the things that may have happened previously and work through the parts work and all of that. So I'm not technically a therapist. I know enough to hold space for it and to help people move through it and to help them get the resources then for some of the more deep dives into the trauma work that may be, arising. But it's incredibly common.
Yeah.
I don't know of a session that I've ever had with someone where something hasn't come up where they had to do
Yeah.
some deeper work, moving forward.
That's what's great about somatics is it brings that up
Yeah.
and so we can deal with it. So let's
Yeah.
talk about body mapping. We did a little bit, but
Yeah.
it sounds like there might be a lot of touching going on in that. So I'm just wondering, like, do you talk to people ahead of time and like are there
Oh,
boundaries
absolutely.
that are set and like what does
Yeah.
that look like?
Yeah. So first of all, I'd say if somebody is interested in this, watch Sex Loving Goop because there's a season in there, an episode in there where Jaya does exactly what I do, and so you can get an understanding of what it looks like to come to my space and have an experience with me. So that could kind of put some of the nerves off, like it can settle some of the nerves, I guess. But yes, everything that happens in my room, in my session room, is consensual and I really believe in voice and choice. It's totally up to the client what they would like to experience. If at any point in time they're uncomfortable, they don't like what's going on, or their body is just not really um, settled and in a grounded space, they can speak up, and a no is a no, right? We never cross that. If they say in the session before going into the session they want to do something and then we get into the session and they're like, yeah, my body's not feeling it, great, awesome. I'll respect that 100%. But really the goal in this is for someone to be able to drop into their body and be held in a really safe environment. I think a lot of times what happens is we go explore maybe a kinky like we go to a sex party or we go to a kinky room to go work with a dom and maybe a sub, and we don't set those boundaries and we don't set a really good container where we understand exactly what somebody's desires are. In my instance, and when a client comes to me, I've been heavily trained in how to hold the space, how to listen to what a client may want, but then also to attune. I think a lot of times what happens when we get into interactions with our partners even is we're not attuning to where they're at and what's arising. We might be thinking about ourselves and what we want out of the situation. And in a session with my clients, it's all about them. Whatever they want, need, or desire in that session, whatever would be best for them, their learning intention is how I cultivate the space. So it has nothing to do with what I would want. There is no agenda on my end. It's literally client led. And we talk about what you may or may not want, and then I provide the experience for the client.
So in your experience, somebody that's very open to whatever, let's just
Mhm.
leave it open, or somebody that really has
Yeah.
a lot of rigid boundaries, does that
Mhm.
affect the outcome at all?
Not at all. No. The reality is, if they're listening to their bodies and what they desire, every session I've ever had has been transformational with a client because it moves them one step closer to whatever their end goal or their end desire might be. And so, really, my job is to resource and help guide a client to move forward in their journey and give them the resources that they need to really be able to thrive and have a great sex life.
So let's talk about shame a little bit because there's a lot of
Mm,
that,
yeah.
surrounding our erotic selves, and what we allow and what we don't allow, or, what we
Mhm.
explore. What are some of the most common things that you see that
Mhm.
people feel shamed to admit, ashamed?
Oh man. I mean, a lot of my clients come to me because there's some sort of religious shame, right? We think that whatever we're doing or whatever thoughts we have are wrong, bad, or sinful. And so helping them understand that sex is actually a birthright and it's something that you deserve. It's a natural experience that your body craves and desires as humans. It's part of the human journey. And so helping them move past some of those roadblocks that they have either from society, family, or religion is a huge piece of what I do in removing that shame.
That's awesome. There's so many
Yeah,
layers to this. I mean, we could talk for days on a lot of it.
absolutely.
What are some of the things that people are surprised maybe about when they go through this
Mhm.
journey?
That they can actually get what they want.
Mm,
So when I went through this journey, I thought it was unobtainable. I thought it was impossible for me to have the lifestyle that I have today. Because all I saw were the roadblocks that were there. I can't do this. I can't do this because of this, creating excuses or even valid reasons of why I couldn't do what I wanted to do.
mm.
Um, and the work that I do with my clients, it's so fun because I asked them on one of our very first calls, what is it that you want? And 9 times out of 10, almost 10 times out of 10, they'll say, I want this and I know I can't have it. It's just
Mm,
an impossible, it's an impossible. And right now in this life that you're living, it might be impossible, right? It might not be something that's possible, but you can intentionally make the decisions that are best for you to get down the road and into a place where it actually is possible. And so I've experienced that in my life, right? I was a closeted trans man who had never had sex before. And I was like, well, I
yeah.
want a vibrant sex life and I have no clue how to get that.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to do this in a healthy way. And so I hired somebody to come alongside of me and they were like, you know what? Yeah, we can make this happen. And within a month of working with them, I had found someone that I connected with and had sex for the first time and started my journey of like uncovering all these things that I thought were impossible um, becoming possible. And that's what's been really fun about this journey for me is like, I've been there. I've been in a space where I went, I want this, 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 and this. And it is not something that I can get. I don't see a path forward, but I got it within a couple months time
Yeah.
frame, right? And in a
Wow.
really healthy way. And so that's a huge thing about working with someone like a somatic sex coach like myself is you may want to come out but you have no idea how to do so. I've been there.
Yeah.
And I have the resources from other people who have been there, and I can help you move that direction. And so I think a lot of us don't understand that there's people out there that are professionally resourced and trained to be able to help you go through this journey. And so something that could have taken me, 20 years to do took me maybe 4 because I
Yeah.
had someone come alongside of me who had my back and understood what was going on and could say, you know what, I have some resources for you that can help you move down the line and get exactly what you want.
How freeing was that? Like realizing
It
that you could
was
have what you wanted.
unbelievable.
So, how can channeling sexual energy somatically help someone heal from trauma, especially if they've been disconnected from
Mm.
their body for probably their entire lives?
Yeah. So that's a really deep question because I think it's layers. I think a lot of us think that we had one trauma and that that's really affecting our life, and that may be. But I think there's lots of little individual moments in our life that as we start to peel back the layers and we start to heal one thing, we can start to heal the next and the next and the next. Like, I don't think any healing journey is a 24-hour session with a professional and you're healed and you're good and you can move forward. It's an it's a uncovering what's there and actually diving deeper and choosing to dive deeper as it feels good for someone. So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but it's kind of the take I take on that.
Yeah. What, as you were talking, I was thinking about expectations from clients because I deal with that a lot. People think
Mm,
that I'm going to wave a magic wand over them or I'm just going to flick a light switch and you're going to be all better in one session, you know? How do you handle
yeah,
expectations because you don't know how many layers? I was equated
yeah.
to going to the gym and, it kind of depends what's your BMI right now. How much work are you going to do in
Mhm.
between seeing me, your personal trainer, and, so how do you set expectations for people that come to see you?
Yeah, yeah. So anybody who works with me learns really quickly that this is an incredibly slow process. Um, what I've learned in nervous system development is we can only go as fast as the slowest part of us wants to go.
Hmm.
And so if you go really fast and you think that, oh, I'm going to heal myself and I'm going to get this all, accomplished in a nice neat package and tie it with a bow, there's going to be a whole lot that you miss in the journey. And so I help my clients titrate it and do only as much as they can in this moment. And then maybe stepping back and taking some resting, some healing, and then moving back into a piece when they're ready to do so. Um, in Jaya's work in the Erotic Blueprint, she says there's 5 states of being. There's resting, healing, curious, adventuresome or adventurous, and transformational.
Mm.
And you can't be in all 5 states at the same time.
I
So
love
at
that.
some point, you may need to take a rest. You may need to take a break. You may need to heal. Like say you had like a surgery or a traumatic event unfolded and a relationship broke or something like that. You may need to take some time to heal, or you might need to get curious with something and gather some
Mhm.
more information and do some more research. You might need to go take an adventure and go try out what you've researched and what you understand to be true and see if it is true and have some fun. Or you might be in a transformational space where like what I'm doing right now is totally moving into a whole new space. And this is going to catapult me forward. And so realizing that we're moving from these states and stages on a regular basis and holding space for that when that arises is really huge in this journey of going only as fast as the slowest part of you wants to go. Realizing I can't do this all in one day. I can't do this all in one session. I have to let the ebbs and flows of life kind of guide me in the direction I need to go.
Yeah, I love that you use the word curious and curiosity. That's my favorite word. I love that.
Mm.
I love it.
That and critical thinking. I think we all learn to like do one thing and do it right and not get curious with it. Well, if I actually thought about it, what you say is right for me is not right for me. And so maybe I need to get curious with this and be like, okay, that might be right for you, but it's not for me. So how do I want to move forward?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then noticing when that thing isn't working for you anymore and getting curious again to find out what's next. There's always something what's next. There's always
exactly.
a next. So
Yeah.
yeah, you can't lose that curiosity ever.
Right.
So you work with people exploring their gender, their identity, and just their
Mhm.
general desires. What are some of the most beautiful discoveries or transformations that you've witnessed?
Yeah. Um, so one of them is true intimacy. I think a lot of us have an idea of what it looks like to be intimate with someone. But I believe that true intimacy is unconditional love for yourself.
Mm,
So it's unconditional love for you from you. And in this experience that I give with my clients, it's really returning home to them, to themselves, to their wants, needs, and desires, and becoming intimate with themselves. And that uncovering actually helps them in relationship with other people and being able
mm,
to have an intimate relationship with someone else. And so that's one of the most fun things as I work with clients is realizing that abandonment to ourselves and how can we be more intimate with ourselves and what does that do in changing and transforming our relationships with others.
yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
You say that the work that you do can make people feel more alive. What does that aliveness actually look like, and why are so many of us missing it?
Mm. I think a lot of us don't connect to our life force that's within us, that eros, that sacred energy that's running through our bodies at all times.
Yeah.
And what I help people do is tap into that energy
Mm,
and maybe feel it for the first time.
yeah.
And from that space, there's an aliveness that happens, a desire for more joy, more deeper relationships. I mean, it's incredibly expansive. I think what happens is a lot of us constrict our lifestyles and constrict who we are. And what I help people do is expand who they are and expand what they could get in this lifetime as well, and what that looks like for them.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I'm just, as you were talking, I was just thinking about how satisfying as a practitioner that feels when you can
Yeah.
use what you've been through to help somebody else.
Mhm.
It's just that feeling never gets old. It's beautiful.
I agree.
Yeah. So for those that are curious about exploring this kind of work but feeling a little nervous, what might
Mhm.
surprise them about the process once they get going?
Mm, yeah. So when I started this journey, there was a lot of fear about the unknown,
Yeah.
and it felt like it was incredibly vulnerable, and it is. I was so nervous in my first session with my mentor. Um, and what happened was I was able to uncover some things that I didn't even know existed, but they were holding me back in my entire life.
Mm,
And in that moment where I could drop in and actually allow all of myself to exist and arise there was an empowerment that was happening of coming back to myself and who I am and who I want to be in this world and who I wanted to become. And so my my instinct is to say, like, go there,
Mm,
acknowledge the fear, acknowledge the vulnerability that's there, and you can miss out on so much just because you're repressing your desires. And so this is a
yeah.
space where all of you can exist, the good, the bad, the happy, the sad, the, all the emotions that are out there. Um, and it's a really unusual space. This is not somewhere that, we don't typically end up in these spaces in this world. We normally have to protect ourselves
Yeah.
or we have to be a certain person in front of someone else. And in this space, it's all about you and what's arising in this moment and giving you the power and the courage and the bravery to actually experience what it's like to truly be you
Mm.
in this space.
Yeah, I think once even if you just dip your toe in the water and just kind of see what happens, once you start seeing how it feels to become more and more
Yeah.
authentic, you just want more of that,
Yeah.
even though it's still a
Yeah.
scary process. Um,
It's incredibly scary.
it's
Yeah.
almost like you can't not, keep seeing what's next for me,
Yeah.
what healing is
Yeah.
around the corner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just having dinner with some people the other day, and they live a very standard lifestyle. They have everything they may want or need financially. They have a great house and all that. Um, but the depth of curiosity and exploration that they've done with themselves just wasn't there. And what I
Mm,
could tell is they were having a hard time actually being real and expressing themselves and what was naturally coming up. Like there was this like veil that was there. And I actually asked one of them, I was like, "Are you happy with your life right now?" And at first they're like, "Yeah, like I got all these things." I was like, "No, but like, are you truly happy with like who you are, who you're becoming, how you're interacting with people in this world, and what does that look like for you?" And it took a couple days for them to respond to me actually with an authentic answer of, "I think there's some work here for me to do
yeah.
because it looks like I have everything to the outside world. It looks like I have the best lifestyle possible, but they're dying inside
Yeah.
because they haven't been willing to actually go into the fears and go into that vulnerable space and allow that all to kind of meld and transpire."
Yeah. What's outside of that veil you were talking about? So many people are afraid
Mm,
to look beyond that, but there's just so much
yeah.
out there. I mean, it's a charcuterie board of everything. Life is out there, joy is out there, peace is out there, you're out there somewhere.
Yeah.
But we
Yeah.
just have to look beyond that veil to be curious,
Mhm.
look beyond the veil, what's out there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if
Love
someone is
that.
listening right now and just aching to feel, I mean, feel
Mm.
themselves, feel more, feel desire, be more authentic. What's the
Mhm.
one truth you want them to know specifically about their erotic self?
Mm. We're all erotic beings, and we all deserve to be able to express ourselves in this lifetime. And so, if there's a longing that you have, if there's a desire that you have, it's up to you to be intentional to allow that to exist and flourish. I mean, until you become uncomfortable, until you hit that pain point of like, I want to change, it's not going to happen. So there's nothing that I can do to actually change your life if you're in that space. But once you come to that space, there are plenty of people who are resourced and ready to help you move forward in that. So finding your team of people to help you move in the direction that you want to go is incredibly important. When I started this journey, it was me by myself, all alone, and I was in like the deepest, darkest depression of my life.
Mm,
And I couldn't see a way out. And then I found a couple people that were in alignment with where I wanted to go. And so I started having conversations with them. Okay, you have something that I think I might want. Can we get curious about this and what this looks like for me? And in finding my people and finding my support system to help me move in this direction, I found a sense of belonging. And I
mm,
think a lot of us just want to love and be loved.
Yeah.
And until you're willing to go there for yourself, you're not going to be able to go there with other people.
Yeah.
So my encouragement is to like put yourself first.
Mm.
Listen to those longings that you have and then find your support structure. It may not exist right now in the space that you're in the community that you're in, but there are people out there that are willing to join this journey with you. So find your people.
Yeah. I think once we realize that we have the power to heal ourselves and to make
Yeah.
that happen and not
Mhm.
give up, that is so empowering. Instead
Yeah.
of, staying in that victim mode and thinking that this isn't possible for you, whatever it is that you're wanting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very
It's really about
empowering.
taking ownership of your own life.
Yeah,
I think if you take
exactly.
ownership of your own life and you realize I'm the only one that can change whatever's happening for me.
Yeah, yeah,
There's things that people can do that affect my life or that impact my life, but there are things that I can do to actually move my life forward very intentionally so that I'm doing what I need to do for myself.
yeah,
And so for me, that was a huge piece of the journey of, okay, I need to actually figure out what's right for me right here, right now. How do I need to move forward in my life without everybody else's input on what that looks like? And it's a lot harder. I will have to admit, it's a lot
yeah.
harder when you have a family. When you have a
Hmm.
family and you have all these things, right? And so maybe you just need to take a piece of that. In this moment, what do I need to do for myself in this moment?
Hmm. Hmm.
And
Yes.
just being really conscious of that right here, right now.
Yeah. And how freeing that is, knowing that you do have some control
Mhm.
over your circumstances and taking responsibility for where you're at and
Yeah,
discovering where you want to be. So freeing.
yeah,
Awesome.
absolutely, absolutely.
Wow. So where can we find you and what are you up
Yeah,
to? And if somebody wants to connect.
yeah. So they can find me under my name, Ayce Kyptyn, basically anywhere. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. AceKyptyn.com is my website if you want to look at some of my resources and I have a free resource page where you can take the quiz or you can see some other podcasts I've been on, see some of the resources that have helped me through my journey. If you want to schedule an appointment with me, that'd be awesome. I'd love to work with, some of the people that might be out there. Um, yeah, there was something I was going to mention, but I forgot it. So
That's okay. We're going to have all your links in the show notes. And
great.
again, I just want to thank you for coming on. I just hope that listeners are feeling that curiosity about looking at their erotic selves. Like I said, I didn't even think
Yeah.
about that layer of my authentic self and what role that plays in
Mm,
my happiness and what I'm
yeah.
supposed to be doing in this life, my purpose. So thank you so
Mm,
much for making it feel safe and just being that person out there that can help others in that way. There's not a lot of you out there. So thank you so much for
yeah.
putting yourself out there in that way and just helping all of us in that erotic
Yeah.
sphere.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I remember the thing I was going to talk about. It was actually
Perfect.
I'm going to be an author of a book. I'm a multi-author book. So
Okay.
it's called Embracing Your Arrows. It comes out this fall. It's a bunch of different practitioners who have made a massive life change and embraced arrows and how that transformed their life.
Oh,
And
cool.
so that will be something to take a look for. I think it's going to release sometime this fall.
Awesome. I will definitely look for that. Well, thanks again for coming
Yeah.
on, Ace. I really enjoyed this conversation.
Yes. Thanks for your time. Fill your life with pleasure.
Yeah. Wow, that was such a real and eye opening conversation with Ace. I learned a ton. And if there's one thing I hope that you take away, it's this: your body isn't broken, and your pleasure, yeah, that's actually part of your healing journey. If you're at all curious about exploring your erotic blueprint, letting go of shame, or just feeling more like yourself, definitely check out Ace's work. His links are in the show notes. If you want to go deeper with somatic healing yourself, I highly recommend checking out my website, somatichealingjourneys.com. I offer sessions and tools that help you reconnect with your body, release stored trauma, and find more ease and presence in your everyday life. You can also get a free consultation with me to see if somatic mindful guided imagery is right for you. And hey, if you want to be a guest on Mind Your Own Karma and want to share your unique healing modality with the world, just visit mindyourownkarma.com. I would love to hear from you. Hey guys, thanks for hanging out with me and Ayce today. Karma Crew, keep tuning in because you might be just one listen away from a totally different life. As always, take what you need and leave what you don't. And always remember to mind your own karma. I'll see you next time.